Here we are then, another episode of my Ferrari Road to Glory. This is round 12 at the Hungarian Grand Prix, essentially reaching the halfway stage of the 23 races this season. As you can see, this is the contract renewal time period of the season, and of course we want to stick with Ferrari. We'll get into this in just a bit. Guys, if you haven't seen the last episode at Silverstone, my home race, check it out, link in the top right, full wet race, spoilers ahead. Anyway, here we are for some big news to start off today's episode. Lewis Hamilton is retiring from Formula 1 at the end of the current season. Obviously, I don't think this is going to continue beyond this season because we're on course to win both titles, but things can change. Either way, after the last race, we had, of course, a mechanical failure. We lost the gearbox, which means we got an extra 320 R&D points to invest in other areas of the car. And as you can see, we're going to go ahead and spend those on the magnetic compound for the ERS, and also we're going to jump over to the chassis and purchase the monocoque structure for weight reduction. So those two upgrades are going to arrive onto the car. This one especially can arrive before the race at Hungary, which could be a big thing for us. Here is a big moment though. We officially are going to have to take a grid drop at some point this season because we are not going to make it the remaining 12 races on a single gearbox as we go on to our last one. So there will be a grid drop in the future, which could be massive for the championship. Anyway, here is us accepting a contract with Ferrari. We're going to go for the low risk, keep things nice and simple, and just make sure we have a seat locked in. Otherwise, there's no point in making this series if we don't drive for Ferrari. Anyway, with that aside, we arrive at Hungary, a track where qualifying is key. Race pace isn't really that important because overtaking is very, very tough. So you want to make sure you qualify well. As you can see, the forecast has rain again for the race. Not like in Silverstone, this time it's dynamic and we have some rain at the very end of the race, which could be interesting. We then jump to upgrades, and besides the chassis one we just purchased, which has arrived, we've got an improvement to the gearbox, which is massive considering we're on our last one, and also the MGUH. So again, durability work starting to rack up. You can see how funny the tendency in results is this season. If we don't win, we DNF. Pretty much, there's no in between. It's literally as extreme as that. And you know, that does mean in the championship we still have a healthy margin because we've won every race except for Jeddah that we finished. So Leclerc down to third, Verstappen up to second. We have a decent lead in the constructors as well. So things are looking decent. But with that done, let's get into practice. And we start off with a fault on the electrical systems, which again is a bit of a concern in terms of the reliability. You know, more issues, which I'm worried about. We don't want to keep having these issues, so hopefully a smooth weekend is ahead. Either way, practice went smooth. Fuel consumption very high as you'd expect for this track. Tyre wear surprisingly low. Either way, we're going to make those adjustments for the race and get things dialed in. For practice though, it's quite a good sign if we have both cars in the top 3 after FP2, which is very rare. The first time it's happened this season, so I think this could be a strong track for us, especially for me. If I'm topping the timing charts in FP2, that usually means we have a lot of pace. Now, as always, we picked up our usual points haul for R&D purposes. We've got a bunch of discounts as always, but we're going to jump into qualifying because that is what matters, and that's the key session of the weekend here at Hungary. Much like Monaco, you want to make sure you qualify well. So we're going to get into it. The car feels great. Honestly, I have no real qualms. I'm running an SRC setup. Link down below, guys, if you want to check that out. But I'm running the esports one and it feels awesome around here. The car is dialed in and it just works. Currently at the end of our first push lap. It's been a very good lap pace-wise. However, I've had a bit of a scruffy middle sector. Other than that, it's been a decent lap. We're going to look to close out and see exactly where we are, in amongst the shuffle. And we're going to make our way through the final corner. What's it going to be? A 1 minute 14? Yep, 14.6. And that is P1 straight away. The question is, what is the gap to P2? Oof. Half a second, nearly 6/10 to Russell. Leclerc only P5, 7/10 off. And I do feel like Leclerc's been dropping off a little bit lately. I'm not sure why, but he's starting to struggle. Either way, final attempt. Let's send it and let's see what happens. Enjoy a lap of the Hungaroring in the Ferrari. Now we absolutely smash our previous pole time with a mistake at turn 1, which is incredible. We bag pole by 8.5 tenths of a second over Lando Norris and 9 tenths over Leclerc. I mean, the margins are simply ridiculous. We have a very fast single lap race car here, and the qualifying results confirm it. So wow, what a margin. I think the most convincing, dominating qualifying of the season, bar Monaco, which is, AI really, really bad there. But on an open circuit, this is our best qualifying of the season so far. So, job done. Can we convert to a win? We got, in trouble in Silverstone with the gearbox. Can our car make it to the end? We're about to find out. Let's get into the race and let's hope we can win it.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula One action. We're not expecting too many retirements at this circuit. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher, who made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. 14 corners then for our drivers to navigate at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring today. It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around a lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Martinez lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Gasly, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Ocon, Stroll, Joe, Verstappen, Bottas, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, the regulations aren't new anymore, but the teams and the drivers are still coming to terms with them. I firmly believe it's also track specific. We've seen some wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the year. Some tracks lend themselves better to it than others. I'd like to see it at every race in the whole season. Is that too much to ask?
So here we go then, time for the main event. P1, another pole position, and we're looking to try and convert that into a race win and extend our championship lead. The last race, of course, we picked up a DNF in Silverstone. Luckily, we didn't lose too much in the championship, but this time Leclerc is P3 and Verstappen's a bit higher as well, so they're both going to be a bit more competitive in this race. Now, to be fair, I'm confident we can win this with our pace. My only concern is reliability. Now, we're going to start on soft tyres. However, I may switch to hards depending on the forecast of the rain, which could be interesting. So the longer we go in this first stint, the better, basically. So we'll go until we're comfortable with these softs. Once they feel like they're, past at best, we'll get rid of them. Important thing here is to not pit and fall into the traffic, because that could be a bad thing. So you want to make sure we extend the stint and have a decent clearance to as many cars as possible. Fuel is going to be spot on. I've got that locked down since the first few races. But yeah, let's get to it. Waste no time. Let's send it and try and convert into a win and hopefully, again, extend our championship lead. Here we go. Time to go racing. Lights on. Lights out, and away we go. Good start. I've been struggling on my race starts with this new wheel, but we're through. Up the inside goes Russell, trying to have a look. Leclerc dropping places on the medium, as you'd expect. Crucially, we hold on to our race lead and our pole position, and we can now try to drive off on these soft tyres, which, to be fair, we're all on the same compound, but you saw the pace in qualifying. We're going to see if that advantage translates to the race. At the minute, Norris is trying to put the pressure on big time. Just got to get comfortable, readjust a little bit to the fuel load, and hopefully we will start to see a gap start to appear. Very tidy first lap, to be fair. Leclerc down a P5, so crucially Leclerc and Verstappen, P5 or lower, are two title rivals. To be fair, the last race, you know, Norris and Russell got the top 2 spots, and they're my closest rivals again, so who knows, maybe some new title challenges are emerging, but here we go then. Will we make it to the end of this race? That's going to be the $1 million question. We're going to be quite high on wing, I think, so we're just going to burn some battery on the straight to stay competitive, but that's my big concern. Can we get to the end, or will unreliability strike once again?
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
I guess we're going to find out if we've dropped Lando out of range. At the minute it looks like we might just be there. Just need a bit more just to be safe. Luckily there's only, you know, 2 DRS zones and they're pretty close to each other around here. There's not 3 or 4. And the straights are relatively short as well, so they're not going to hurt too much. But I think we're going to get this throughout the middle sector. Let's see. This white line is going to be the detection point, and I think we've cleared Norris. Yes, we have. But Norris hasn't cleared Russell or Hamilton. Leclerc's a bit further back out of the DRS range. So we'll see if maybe the battle for P2 heats up between the 3 Brits and we can keep pulling away and extending our lead. But we've got the gap we need. So good pace so far. I will say the pace in the race isn't as strong as qualifying, or the AI are much stronger. We're not exactly running away from Norris. He's still keeping up somewhat. And I am pushing. I mean, my battery's pretty low. I'm trying to squeeze on. My tyres are getting a bit hot. No overheating so far, but they're just starting to escalate slightly. So I'm just keeping an eye on the temperatures. But yeah, Lando's not going away. Let's put it that way. Softs are starting to fade. Could be a good strategy for Leclerc. He has managed to somewhat make the mediums work, and he'll go long. So we'll see how it all works out. First warning. Quite a bit of understeer there. Just washing off the track. I think now we're into the first phase because Norris is also dropping back a little bit. It was 1.9 last lap on the start finish. First sign of tyre weather. Leclerc and Perez battling, and now they're all losing a lot of time. I think we're all starting to struggle on tyres now though. Still got a while to go yet in this stint. Looking at the mini-map, there's a gap forming just ahead of both Haas cars, but I don't know if that's going to be enough when we box to come out ahead of that. And you don't want to be behind it either, so let's keep at it. I think we're a bit quicker than the AI on these older tyres. I think on the fresh tyres they're a bit more on pace with us, but I think now we're actually doing a bit more damage. Now we're all in the first phase. We've just had an engine issue. We've dropped to lean revs, and I can't change it, so we're going to be a little bit underpowered. Luckily it's not a huge power circuit, but you can see we're locked to lean revs. I can't change anything, and we're back online just like that. Hopefully
We're approaching the pit window and you're going to be on mediums.
Hopefully that's the last of the issues. I mean, if they're minor like that, I don't mind, but nothing more, please.
Okay, the pit window's open, so let's box this lap. Box this lap.
We're really opening up a gap to the Haas cars. I don't know what tyres they're on, but I'm assuming they're on medium or hard going long. So last push to try and get a gap on this lap. Tyre wear indicator has just come on, so we're over 60% wear. Also, Norris and Russell briefly swapped places and lost like a full second. So we now have a very healthy margin, and it's just played into Leclerc's hands quite nicely, as he might have a chance at P2 now. We're going to box. No need to rush. Let's see if we've done enough to get ahead of that little group of cars where the Haas cars are. 2.2, we don't get held. This is going to be close. The lead Haas pits, so he must be on softs, but this is going to be close. Racing to turn 1.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
There we are, just in front. To be fair, they're on softs, so they would have probably boxed on this lap anyway. Verstappen P7 on medium. Wow. I'm not sure what Max his strategy is. Maybe he had a grid drop and I didn't realise, but that's huge. Crucially though, clean air for us. and we get that bit of fresh air to, you know, just drive into and use these tyres. Everyone else should be in at the end of the lap, barring Leclerc, as expected. Piastri, Russell in. So Mercedes actually went with Hamilton first. Leclerc, Alonso stay out. Also Verstappen behind, of course, will be going a bit longer. So yet to pit, I assume.
So we're expecting rain in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, I forgot about that. Could still play a part, possibly. Late in the race, we'll see. Okay, so they're going to switch to hard tyres as we go purple. So a bit of a different strategy there. Interesting. So we're back to P1 with a new fastest lap of the race. Second warning, got to be careful now. Very careless. Purple again. We'll go for one more using the battery. And I think that's going to do it for the race. That's all the pace I've got. And we've now got a nice healthy gap over Norris and Hamilton. So now I just got to hope we can finish.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
Maybe it does arrive. Could be close. Clouds starting to form. Well, it's fully overcast now. So I've got INTERS ready to go. As you can see, we're ready for rain if it arrives.
It looks like rain is inbound and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes until the rain.
It's going to be close. I reckon we might actually get a few laps in the rain here. So I think it is going to change. The question is, how much will it rain? Big battle between Perez and Russell. And also Piastri just behind them. Hulkenberg out. I think it's a bit too late for a safety car. Luckily, so just waiting for that rain. I'm also really concerned about reliability. I hope the engine holds on now for what's left, or the gearbox for that matter. Don't want any more dramas. Here's the rain. It has arrived, and there's still 3 laps to go. Weather report.
Okay, conditions are going to keep deteriorating for 10 minutes at least. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Okay, we'll stay out for now. The track still feels pretty quick. See how it gets worse. Starting to get a bit worse. I think I'm going to box as a precaution.
Okay, we can take you this lap.
I was going to try and go to the end, but I can just feel 2 laps is a bit too much to go. There's a lot of corners here. If this was a more of a straight line circuit, I wouldn't, you know, be so concerned, but the group was starting to get quite thin on that lap, so we're going to take no risk. Even if we lose lead, we should be able to get it back, as the track will get worse rapidly in the closing laps. Looks like everyone is going to stay out, so we're going to get some late drama, late action here, but I trust this is the right call because the track is getting wet fast. Going to rejoin just ahead of Perez, but you can visibly see now track and puddles starting to form. Then we're going to quickly catch up to Lewis and Lando, and you'll see the group difference kick in straight away by just looking at the delta. You can see there Hamilton almost off the track, so the AI are going to try and push through, but it's intermediates. The track changed quickly. You can see just corner by corner it's getting worse. Hamilton now really struggling. Got so much more grip. You can see him there through the chicane, just struggling to find any traction. And that's P2. I wish Leclerc had pit. That would have been huge. Although, to be fair, I don't know if he would have caught up or not in time, but the track has fully switched to INTERS now. And now we just have to get Lando, who will probably get at the penultimate corner. DRS disable took longer than I expected, to be fair, but there it is. And we're going to go just around the outside of Norris using the grip. And that's P1 back as we head on to the last lap of the race. Well, we're finally going to do it. We're going to break the train and the trend of consecutive DNFs following component change. We had to change our gearbox again before this race, but this time everything holds up and we break the cycle. Checkered flag as we win in Hungary. We'll take that.
Thank you. I need a moment. Ah, fantastic drive. That's just fantastic. Amazing. You deserved that race win. Well done, mate.
Smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take victory here in Hungary. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, I think what impresses me most is just how the drivers hold their focus and nerve with these massive rain delays and this changeable forecast. You've got to be out there on track, feeling and looking for the grip and know when it's right to switch compounds.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
So, race done, results confirmed. Big win, big win, and also fastest lap, which means we do get maximum points this weekend. Charles Leclerc drops the ball, P7. Very odd strategy, medium to hard, didn't work, and lost 4 places. Verstappen did have a grid drop, so from 16th to 8th, but again, we gain on our 2 main rivals, and essentially we completely make up for Silverstone, and that race basically never happened because Leclerc and Verstappen dropped a clanger and we won. So we basically restore our points margin that we had before that race. So if we look at the standings, you can see we're 51 points ahead of Leclerc, so 2 race wins and a fastest lap, and the same to Verstappen. So happy days. Leclerc does reclaim 2nd place, finishing a position ahead of Verstappen in the standings, but Perez now is right back in the mix, Norris back in the mix as well. The Mercs just a bit further back, but they're starting to get a bit of momentum on their side, and they're not a million miles away. In the Constructors, as you can see, we still have a healthy margin, but McLaren and Mercedes are staying put. They're not dropping back anymore, and they're trying to stay in the fight. Red Bull's still there as well. Either way, this is the halfway stage, guys, and it's been a very good first half of the season, it has to be said. A few more races to go. Let's close out strong. Let's try and bounce back and win another race in Spa next race, which we have a sprint as well, so double points on offer. Let's get to it. But yeah, guys, cheers for watching. Like and subscribe. As always, a big shout out to the members for supporting all the content that I make. Check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already. And yeah, guys, cheers for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. That's goodbye from me.